New dev notes just dropped, volume 58, and with this, a lot of PVE game mode updates. So, we are in the midst of the global 3.5 anniversary, so they mentioned this. In these days, when the heat and humidity are raging, I hope you can forget the heat for a while in Grand Cross. Enjoy the events of the global version and receive abundant rewards. Thank you very much. Well, what is going on? So, improvements to Underground Labyrinth. I've already read through all the dev notes. So, I'm gonna read through most of it, but at the same time also skipping useless parts. They essentially just talk about how, Underground Labyrinth is cool and all, and now it's kind of like competing for space with Euro Arena, because both of them kind of have the same function now. Both Labyrinth and Hero Arena give you items to evolve characters to LRs. But with that being said, Underground Labyrinth is like supposed to be the easy one. And they have found that a lot of players get very annoyed, especially on the first floor. Because the first floor, if you get unlucky with your characters, is just really annoying to get clear. So, let me skip through. So, regarding difficulty level and play method of Underground Labyrinth, there are many differences depending on the degree of which each player experiences it. Separate parts have been confirmed. Thank you, Google Translate. While there are players who search for a combination of characters, blah blah blah, there are players who find it difficult to conquer the first floor. That's what I just said. You get very unlucky with the characters you get, because, most of the time in the first floor, the characters are complete dog shit. The characters are so bad, right? But that means that sometimes you just lose because your characters suck. And then what they're going to do here is, so, we decided that the current Underground Labyrinth has some areas where it's difficult to progress even if you continue to challenge repeatedly, and that the random elements to overcome the early stages are a hurdle. Therefore, we plan to introduce a special buff system that will be a growth element so that you can experience growth little by repeatedly re-challenging the Underground Labyrinth. If you've played Hades, you know, I guess spoiler for the game, if you lose, you can return like from the beginning, but you're stronger. It's not like when you lose, when you return, you're the same. You're stronger every single time you return to go challenge, the enemies. So I feel like it's probably kind of like that. Dedicated buffs can be purchased at the shop in the Labyrinth, and the buff value increases according to the number of purchases. The effect of the exclusive buff will be maintained even when you try again, and the accumulated buff level will make the character stronger. We hope that the difficulty level will be eased by consecutive challenges. So, they're not gonna ease the difficulty when it comes to the last floor or something, if that's what you find difficulty with. To be honest, I think that the first floor is always the most annoying one, because of, what I mentioned. You always have the worst characters ever on that first floor, right? And it makes sense because they don't want you to start off with, the one ultimate right as you start, but in any case, it just makes so the first floor is very annoying. So we'll see how that goes. If this is a buff that can stay, I don't know what kind of buff this is, if it's like leveling up the characters ahead of time or something. If it's like a percentage buff that can stay throughout the whole thing, it might even be worth to just repeat, to quote, fail multiple times and then come back. And if you just stay with a permanent percentage buff throughout the whole thing, it might be worth, but we'll see when this drops. It might be next season, so as soon as Hero Arena leaves, we'll get a new Labyrinth. This might be implemented on the next Labyrinth. I can't imagine it won't be. Then we'll have to wait for that Labyrinth to end, and then the next Hero Arena, and then it will, So, that's about it. They also mentioned that, the ending is also not the easiest thing ever. So, they will... And the shop as well. The shop, people don't like the shop, how it's formatted. I don't mind it, to be honest. But we plan to revise the reward arrangement so the shop goods can be obtained even when clearing each floor of the Underground Labyrinth. reducing the burden of replaying the deep part, and becoming light PvE content that can be enjoyed casually. Definitely wasn't the case. Like, Labyrinth was not supposed to be the light PvE content, but there's no light PvE content that they make anymore. You know? There are the raids, which is easy, you know, you're just doing it as like a maintenance thing for your account, as a daily thing. And then PvE wise, all the PvE activities are tough. Demonic Beasts, whenever a new one comes out, which is the one that you're playing most of the time, is tough. Labyrinth was tough. Freaking Hero Arena is tough, you know? Speaking of Hero Arena, additional improvements. So, I'm gonna start at the end. I know it's weird, but if you don't know, they had Freya as a seasonal character, and they removed Freya being a seasonal character without warning, by the way. They just removed her and made it the Demon King. And I thought that this was like the worst thing they could have done in terms of the Hero Arena game mode, because a lot of people probably summoned for Freya, and just because of the seasonal buff, so they can beat Hero Arena to get LRs, right? And they just removed her from being a seasonal character and put the Demon King there instead. So, finally, I'd like to tell you about the season buff. In last week's update, we changed the season character, but we didn't have enough time to inform you about this in advance. What do you mean you didn't have enough time? You knew this was going to be a thing way ahead of time. Alright, good excuse. Which caused confusion for many players, which caused definite anger for many players. A lot of people were very mad about this. I think many people have already experienced it with Freya, since the effect of the season buff is very large. The more season characters, the more difficulty drops. So we decided to replace the season characters. Then don't make the season characters so unbelievably OP. It gives 20% all stats to all allies. It doesn't have to give all that. Like, if you have the season character, like Demon King can probably solo a tower, because the effect is so strong. It's so unbelievably strong. Like, there's no need for all that. Make it like 10, and then you can have more than one. So dumb. Or make it like last season. Last season, there was no seasonal character. It was like race. So if humans did something, fairies did something, and then that was it, I think. So, I don't know. This was a terrible decision. However, we weren't able to provide enough. They wanted... Sorry, cut off in the middle of the thing. They wanted to promote people summoning for Freya. For sure. They wanted to promote people summoning for Freya by making her pay to win on the PvE game mode, right? And they knew what they were doing. Like, they knew exactly what they were doing when they removed her. It was like, well, you summoned for her, so she was good for 2 weeks. And now, honestly, the Ragnarok team is not that good anymore. Without Freya's buff support, it's not that good for the freaking game mode anymore. It sucks that they had to do this, but that they did this. No, they didn't have to do this, they just did it. So, however, we weren't able to provide enough information about it in advance, and we received feedback from some players regarding the use of characters. So we're currently discussing how to use seasonal characters. Regarding season characters, we'll inform you about the parts that will be adjusted in the future. So, regarding that, they just said, well, we did something that made us look like dickheads. You know, we're big dickheads for what we did. And we're not going to reverse it. It is what it is. That's, that's basically it. So, either way, when playing Hero Arena, we're currently developing a function that will save the clearing status of each round. Should be captured and continue playing even after exiting the content. This was supposed to already be in the game, but they forgot to add it in, or maybe they couldn't. I don't know. This was supposed to already be applied this season. This is an issue that was planned to fixed by the time of season 2, but delayed. Okay. Also, since the main goal of players is to clear the game with a minimum formation of that matches the defensive team, there may be situations where you have to choose to play from beginning due to a mistake in the formation selection or a failed capture. Yes, if you mess up your links or something, I don't know, if you're playing a lower difficulty or you just forgot to apply the correct gear to a character, right? You might have to restart from the beginning because you just did that. So, to alleviate this burden, we are developing a partial re-challenge feature that allows you to restart from the first round of the enemy you are challenging. This sounds pretty good, actually, and something that, you know, will make it way less annoying to play the game mode, because most of the time what happens is you cleared the two towers, the two first towers, super easy, you get, you know, relatively good luck. Then the last tower you get absurdly unlucky, and then you fail and you have to start from the beginning. That happens a lot. With the application of re-challenging function, we hope that even if the strategy sets for the capture fails due to some variables or unexpected factors, you know, RNG, it will be possible to re-challenge easily. We hope that you find the best strategy that suits you. I hope that does so, because I mean, I don't mind the arena, says the whale, but I don't mind playing it personally. It's just, you know, it takes a long time. So if I play a tower, I play the tower, then I go do something else, and then I come back, do another tower, go do something else. I don't just play all 3 towers in a row because it takes too long. That's what I would be. That's what would be my biggest like hurdle. But you can just do that. You can just, you know, stop playing and go do something else. If that means that, you know, I start playing the tower and then at the end of the week when I'm still in the same run, if I don't have to restart my whole run because I messed up something, that would be great. Additionally, we'd like to change the rules for league selection and rewards. Currently, if you want a challenge, to challenge a higher league after clearing a league, you have to give up the rewards you have achieved and reset. Therefore, even if you want to challenge a higher level according to your growth, you will have to give up on the reward once. So let's say you clear like platinum, but you want to, you know, you want to challenge champ. You want to try to go for champ. You can't. So, in an effort to prevent players from giving up the motivation to grow and the joy of conquering, alright, it's a little too excessive, that comes from challenging higher tier leagues for rewards, we are changing the current league selection and rewards rules. We are preparing, we hope, that it will be a hero arena where players can feel the fun of challenging and conquering higher leagues. So, and we'll see what they do with this. We won't be able to see any change until the next season. So, we're going to end this season, which still has 3 more weeks. And then we're going to have a month and a half of Labyrinth. And then the next season of Hero Arena comes out. So it won't be, you know, for a while that we see these. Tower of Trials. So, they have mentioned that it's being removed at the end of August, and they are just reiterating that the reason why they're removing the tower, and you can pause the read if you want, is because it's too annoying to make challenging stages for tower. It's way too annoying for them to keep making tower stages, so they're removing it from the game, and it's gonna be at the end of August. So that's all it says here. But event tower, the tower that sucks, will continue to be updated. So, thanks. And now Knighthood boss battle. I'm gonna cut everything that says here and say exactly what happens here. They are eliminating from Night Boss the factor that you have to play all difficulties. You have to play normal, hard, easy, normal, hard, and hell. I was like, there's one in between hard and hell. No, easy, normal, hard, and hell. You only now will have to play hell. It will only be hell. So it will be way less annoying to play Knighthood boss. But that's it. There's no other changes in terms of like how, because when I saw change in score calculation method, I thought maybe they were gonna change how you score in Knighthood boss, because you know it's been the same for years. Stats, hit hard. Those are like the 2 main factors, right? But no It will be the same way of scoring, but now it will only be hell, so you won't have to play all 4 difficulties in order to, you know, achieve a higher score, or in order to get all the rewards. Maybe getting the rewards will be the same. I don't know. Those like 6k point rewards, but they don't mention anything about this. But for placement, at the very least, hell difficulty will be the only one. I wonder how guild boss heads will feel about this. I'm indifferent because I don't play guild boss. I haven't played guild boss in years. I don't think it's a game mode that's worth playing at all. But guild boss heads hate me for that. For saying that I just don't like guild boss. Rewards are good for guild boss. I'll give it that. The clear rewards for the points are good. Not for me though, because I'm a whale. Simple as that. It's just the truth. So it's not worth for me. But if you're a free-to-play player, guild boss is worth playing because the rewards. For the game mode itself, I think it sucks. It's because it's not been changed for years. It's just, I played it a lot. I went for high points for a little while, and then it got repetitive and boring, so I stopped playing. So, yeah. Anyways, that's the end of dev notes. Nothing exciting, just a bunch of changes to some PvE game modes, but hopefully making them better. Especially, I'm more excited about the Labyrinth one. I think the Hero Arena one, okay. I mean, just, we'll see. Like, we'll have to see. And it's going to be so long from now as well. And then there's nothing else for the other two, so